So let's jump out and just go into the left view. And again, you can maximize your viewports just by hitting Alt-W on the keyboard. Alright, I'm just going to hit F3 and just check and make sure everything looks like it's, lining up fairly close. Alright, you can see we're way off over here, but that's okay. That's just because of the angle of the picture, so that's fine. Alright, so the simplest pieces are done, and now we can actually start working on some of the more challenging detail pieces. Okay, and I think I'm going to start on the bands that go around the heat shield. Alright, so let's see. Can't really see them very good here, so I'm just going to close that picture and open up the asset browser and see if I have a better angle of them. Alright, there they are there. Okay, so we'll keep that one open, and this one here maybe. Alright, so let's just take a quick look. Alright, so they're not crazy. It's a little bit weird of a shape, but I don't think it should be too hard to make. Alright, so it looks to me like this side has a square tab with the hole in it for the screw, and then this side comes up and rolls over, and the screw goes through all three pieces. Okay, so we're going to need kind of like 3 tabs and a hole in each. Alright, so the first thing I do here is just select the breech and the barrel, and just right click and hide them in selection, just to get them out of the way, and let's go back to the front view. Alright, so I think for this we can probably start with a tube. Okay, so let's grab one on the create panel and drag it out. Alright, and again, it doesn't really matter what size it is, we'll just get one in and then center it. Alright, just going to hit Z. Okay, so let's go to the modify panel, and I'm just going to try to figure out what radius we need it to be. So I'm just going to lower radius 1 down a bit. Alright, looks like 24 should be good. Okay, so we'll do that. And then if we look on the reference picture, this guy here, the metal band is fairly thin. Okay, so let's try maybe 25 on the radius too. Alright, that's close, but it might be a little too thin. Let's do 25.5. Alright, that might be closer to what we want. Alright, and let's figure out the height. So I'm going to go into the left view. Alright, zoom in here. And I'm just going to move it down to where it needs to be. Alright, right over here. And we'll adjust the height. Alright, so let's say maybe 7. I think that's close enough. Okay, we'll just move it to where it centers on the bracket. Okay, like that. And back to perspective. Okay, so we don't need the height segments on here, so let's dump those first. Alright, take that down to 1. Alright, and we are going to subdivide this piece, but I think I'm going to raise the sides up quite high just to make sure we get a nice smooth result. Okay, I'm not really concerned with having a high poly count here. I just want to have a nice looking model when we're done. Okay, so let's try maybe like 40 on the sides. Alright, and that's quite a bit concerning. We're going to turbo smooth it, but again, I'm not really concerned with having a high poly count. Alright, so we'll do 40, and let's right click and convert that to editable poly, and let's go into the front view. Alright, so I'm just going to change the color on the tube. Alright, and I might just throw a blue shader on this one, just for change. Okay. And close the material layer. Alright, so we know that fits our radius we need, so we don't really need the heat shield in here. Let's hide it. Right click, hide selection. Alright, so we can see we're doing a bit better. Okay, so the first thing I do here is just go to polygon, and again, make sure you don't have backfacing turned on. And let's just select the right half of it, and delete it with delete. Okay, and then we'll just work on one side and clone it over to the other side. Alright, we just want to make sure that we're going to have enough space in between the brackets, this little gap here. Okay, so I think what I might do is go in here and just add another loop. So I'm going to go to edge, right, grab those edges, and we'll do a connect. Alright, and we'll just add one in the center, just like that. And we'll hit OK. Alright, then I'm going to go back to polygon, and we'll just delete these guys here on the end. Alright, delete. Okay, so we're going to pull the tab out of here. Alright, so I think what I might do is just add one more loop in here. Alright, so grab those again and do another connect. Alright, that tab piece I don't think was too thick. Alright, it's fairly thin. Okay, so I might just leave one segment in the middle, no pinch, no slide, and hit OK. Alright, and we'll pull the tab piece out of the top here. Okay, so let's go into perspective. We're going to have a hole in the side of this that we're going to need to cap. Alright, so let's hit Z, zoom in. Alright, so let's do that first. I'm just going to go to border, grab the border around the hole, hit cap to fill it in. Okay, and let's go to polygon and select this top one here. Alright, and we'll go into the left view and just extrude it up. Alright, so extrude. Alright, just going to lower the height down. I think 10's too much. Alright, don't want it to look too huge. Alright, I might take it down even a little bit less. Maybe 6 or so, and again that's probably not going to match our picture exactly, but that's okay. Alright, so we'll 6 is cool and hit OK. Alright, and let's go into perspective again. I'm going to go into isolation mode, Alt-Q, alright, to make it a little easier to work on. And before we start adding our support edges to it, I'm just going to go into the front view and just straighten out the tab piece. Okay, so let's go to vertex, and I think I'll just grab the guys on the top there. Again, make sure you don't have back facing turned on. And we'll just drag these over to the right, alright, just to straighten up the side of the tab, like that maybe, and let's straighten up the top, drag that one up, and let's grab these guys and just drag them over a bit. Alright, just like that. Okay, so yeah, we are going to subdivide it, so we're going to have to add some support edges to hold our shape. Okay, so let's do that first before we start working on the hole. Alright, so let's go to edge, and I'm just going to grab one on the outside here, and we'll do a ring and a connect. Alright, and we want to do 2 segments, no slide, and I'm just going to pinch them apart so they get closer to the outside edges. Alright, we want a fairly hard edge on our band, so we'll go up quite high. Alright, maybe 90 or so on the pinch, and we'll say OK. And then we'll need some down the side here, so we'll grab one of those edges, control click one on the other side, do another ring, another connect. Alright, again we'll do 2, no slide, and I'm just going to lower the pinch amount down a bit. Alright, maybe 60 or so on the pinch should be good, and OK. Alright, we also want to make sure that this holds this corner here, so let's add one more loop across here. Alright, so we'll grab one of these edges, do a ring, connect. This time we'll do 1 segment, no pinch, and I'm just going to slide it over to the right a bit, closer to the band. Alright, 60 looks like it should be good, so I say OK. Alright, and then we'll also need some across the tab piece this way. So let's grab the corner, do a ring, do a connect, 2 segments, no slide. And you can zero out the spinners just by right clicking them, and then we'll up the pinch a bit. Alright, just want to hold the corners here. Alright, we'll say 60 again, and hit OK. And then we'll need a couple more here to hold the top and bottom, so let's grab all these edges across the tab, and do another connect. 2 again, and I'm just going to up the pinch amount so they get closer to the top and bottom. Maybe 90 should be good, and OK. Alright, so just like that. Okay, now that should hold the shape I think just fine. Let's test it out. So I'm going to exit edge, and we'll just throw a turbo smooth on here and see how it looks. Okay, so in the modify list, down to turbo smooth, and we'll do 2 iterations, and I'm just going to tick on ice-line display. Alright. That'll hide some of your edges so you can see better. Alright, let's turn off our edges with F4. Take a look. Alright, so that looks pretty good. It's holding the shape that we want. Okay, so that's fine. We can start working on the hole. Alright, so I'm just going to delete the turbo smooth temporarily, and you can do that by hitting the little garbage can button there. Okay, we'll trash that, and we'll start working on the hole. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is just add another edge loop down the center here. So let's go to edge, grab one again, do a ring, do a connect. Alright, 1 segment, no pinch, no slide. Okay, just so we have one down the center, and I'm going to put one right across the center of this as well, so let's grab these guys and just hit connect. Alright, just like that. Alright, as you can see, because we have an angled face down here, our edge loop isn't straight. Okay, so I'm going to straighten that out first in the front view. Alright, so with that loop selected, I'm just going to control click vertex. Alright, and I'm going to go down here in the rollout to the make planar options and just hit the y-axis. Alright, just to straighten that edge out. Alright, that should make it a little easier for us to cut our hole. Alright, so before we start cutting, I'm just going to save one more time. Save another copy. I'm just going to jump out into the left view. Okay, and blow that up, Alt W, and we'll just zoom in on the tab piece here. Alright, so when I usually try to cut holes in this stuff, I like to use a little circle as a guide. Okay, so I'm going to do that here. So the first thing I'm going to do is just exit vertex, and then go into the create panel, over to shapes, and we'll just grab a circle here, and I'm just going to drag one out centered on this intersection here. Alright. I'm not sure how big we'll need our screw hole to be, so let's just say maybe 1.5 or so on the radius. Should be fine, I think. Okay, and I'm just going to zoom in and kind of make sure it's centered on these edges. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I just want it to be, you know, fairly close. Alright, just like that. Okay, and another good thing to remember is when you're building your base mesh and you want to have it you know, turbo smooth and have nice round holes in it, it's good to aim to have 8 sides on your base mesh, and that way you'll get, you know, a nice round result pretty much every time. Okay, so I want to get 8 sides on this circle, so let's go into the modify panel and just open up the interpolation rollout. Okay, and these steps here are set to 6 by default, and that just basically controls how many sides your circle has. Okay, so we want 8 sides, so we're going to take it down to 1. Alright, 1 step, and it'll give us 8 sides. Alright, that's what we're looking for. Okay, so let's select our band piece. Okay, and I'm going to go up here to snaps, right click on the button, and just check and make sure I only have vertex turned on. Alright, so if anything else is ticked, just untick it, and we'll close it, turn our snaps on, and I'm going to go down here and turn on cut. Alright, and we're just going to cut this shape into our band. Alright, and because we have the snaps turned on, it's going to snap to the points of our circle. Okay, and that's going to make it a lot easier to get this even. Alright, so we'll just start here on the edge, click, and then go along and click on each point of the circle. Okay, all the way around until we get back to where we started. And then click and right click to end the cut. Alright, so that's one side. Obviously we're going to need it on the other side of the tab too, so let's do that. So I'm just going to change my view from left to right. So right click up here, views, right. Okay, so we're looking at it from the other side, and obviously we can't see our circle now, so let's just go into wireframe so we can see it. And with cut again, we'll just repeat the process on this side. Okay, so just click on the edge and go along, click on each point. Alright, back to the start, right click to end, and then we can turn off cut, and we can turn off snaps. Alright, and we can change our view back to left. Alright, hit F3. Okay, so we don't really need the circle there, so I'm just going to select that and delete it. Delete, and let's take a look in perspective. Alright, so you can see we copied the shape pretty much perfectly into the side there. Alright, that's why I like using a circle, because it gets it, you know, a lot more even than you would if you just tried to manually cut that in. Alright, so because we're subdividing it, we really should have a quad mesh, and you can see these are n-gons here. Right, they have more than 4 sides, so let's grab the bracket and just quad this up quickly. Alright, so I'm going to go to vertex, and zoom in here, and we'll just grab one of the verts on the point of the circle there, and then go up and control click the one diagonally from it. Alright, just on the support edge there, and then we'll just hit connect over here to cut our edge in. Alright, so we'll do that all the way around on both sides. Alright, connect. You could also use cut for this if you want. Doesn't really matter. Alright, connect. So now we're all quads, so we won't have a problem when we add our turbo smooth. Alright, let's do the same thing on the other side. Alright, connect. Alright, now I just have a hotkey set up for that, but it's the same as hitting the button over here. Alright, connect. Alright, so all quads on both sides. Okay, so now we can actually start pushing the hole through. Alright, so let's go to polygon. I'm just going to turn on ignore back facing for a second, just to make them a little easier to select. And let's select these 4 right on that side, and then go around and just select those 4, holding control. Alright, so all 8. And then before we push it through, let's actually inset it so we'll have another support edge around our hole. Alright, so inset, and we'll just lower the amount way down. Maybe 0.07 or so should be fine, and okay. Alright, just so we have another loop in here. And now to push it through, I'm just going to click bridge. Alright, to push it through. Alright, so that looks good. Let's go to edge. We're going to have to add some support inside the hole here, so let's grab one of these guys, do a ring, do a connect. And we'll do 2 segments and just pinch them apart. Alright, maybe 80 or so on the pinch should be cool, and hit OK. And we can turn off back facing and just exit edge. Alright, so just like that. Alright, so let's put the turbo smooth on and see what kind of results we get. Alright, so back into the modify list, down to turbo smooth. Okay, and again we'll put 2 iterations on and just tick on isoline display. Alright, so let's take a look at it. Just going to turn off my edges again, F4. Alright, so it's looking decent. Alright, looks like we have a little bit of a bulge there. You can kind of see that, and that's just because we have this edge loop in here that's pretty close to these guys, so we could slide that back. I don't think I really need to bother, but if you want to, you could. Alright, so that looks pretty good. So let's just delete the turbo smooth again temporarily. Alright, and before we start working on the other side, let's do a save so we don't have to rebuild this if we have a crash. Alright, so another copy. Alright, so let's look at the reference again. And obviously we can't just copy this piece over to the other side and use it on the opposite side because they're not the same, obviously. Alright, so what I think we'll have to do is we'll probably have to make a copy of this on the other side and then just modify it to get this curved top piece here. Okay, so let's try it. Alright, so to do that, I'm just going to go into the front view. Alright, and let's put on a symmetry modifier. Alright, so modify this down to symmetry. Alright, and we'll do this on the x-axis, and we might have to flip it, so let's click flip. Alright, just like that. Alright, and then I'm going to right click and convert this to editable poly again. Okay, so we're going to need this piece to bend over and come back down, and that's going to need a hole in it as well, but I don't really want to have to remake a whole new piece with a hole and try to make it match these guys. So I think what we'll do is we'll just cheat a bit and see if we can, steal a piece of this off and clone it over. Okay, so let's go to polygon. Again, make sure you have back facing turned off, and I'm just going to select the whole tab piece on the right. Okay, and let's hit grow one time. Alright, just want to have everything above this edge here selected. Let's look in perspective, it's probably easier to see. Alright, so just the whole piece. Alright, all the way around. Alright, and we'll go back into the front view. Alright, so to make a copy of that, let's go down to detach, open that up, and we want to do a clone. Okay, so just make sure you tick that off, and then we'll hit OK. Alright, so it's cloned our little chunk of geometry there. So let's just exit polygon. Okay, and I'm going to try to select it. Alright, it should be called Object 01 because we didn't add a name when we cloned it. Okay, and let's center the pivot on this piece. Hierarchy tab, fact pivot only center object. Turn it off. Okay, and I'm just going to move it over on the X. Alright, just over there. Take a look here. Alright, so I might just stick it maybe like right there. Just going to stop it like the edge loop there. Okay, so just like that. Alright, so that'll save us a little bit of time, remaking this piece. Alright, we are going to have to do some cleanup on it before we can actually use it, so let's zoom in here, go to polygon, and I'm just going to grab these top two, holding control, and just grow the selection one time. Okay, just so you have the whole top selected, 12 polys, and we'll delete it. Okay, just so when we make this come over, we can actually attach them without a problem. Alright, and let's check out the bottom. Alright, what I'm going to do here is just exit polygon, grab the band piece and just hide it, right click, hide selection. Alright, just so we can see what we're doing better. Okay, so we have a hole in the bottom obviously, so let's cap that. Let's go to border, select it, hit cap. Alright, and now we're going to have to connect up our support edges here so it'll hold our shape. Alright, so we'll go to vertex, and same thing we did with the hole, I'm just going to grab the verts across from each other, holding control, and we'll just hit connect. Okay, and in the center, connect, and down here, connect. Alright, and then for these ones that go this way, we won't be able to use connect because it's actually going to cross an edge, so we're going to have to use cut. Okay, so I'm going to go and turn on cut. Just going to exit vertex first. Alright, cut, and I'm going to turn my snaps back on just to make it a little easier. Alright, and you can always tell you're on a vert with the cut tool when your cursor turns into a little tiny square. Okay, and if you're on a face, it'll be a bigger square, and if you're on an edge, it'll be a line. Alright, just so you know where you are. Alright, so we'll go from this vert here all the way down to the one on the other side. Click, and then right click, and then grab this guy here, up to this end, click, and then right click. Alright, and we can turn off cut and turn off snaps. Alright, so just like that, just so everything's connected up and quad. Okay, and we're going to have a weird angle on the bottom here, I think. Look in the front view. Alright, you can see it has that angle from when we chopped it off, so let's straighten this out. So I'm going to go to vertex again. Just grab these guys on the right. Again, make sure you don't have back facing turned on, and we'll just move it up a bit. Alright, and I'm going to grab this whole row of verts and go down here to the make planar again and hit Y. Alright, just to straighten them out, and we'll do the same with the bottom ones. Grab all of them, click Y. Alright, just so we have a straight bottom on our piece, a flat bottom. Alright, and then we can go up and exit vertex, and I'm just going to right click and unhide by name. Okay, and 201, that's our bracket piece. Let's double click that to get it back. Alright, so just like that. And now let's select the bracket piece and go to polygon. Alright, I'm just going to go in here and same thing, grab these two polys and grow the selection. Alright, just so we have the top 12 selected. Alright, so before we actually bring this over and try to connect it to this, I'm just going to do another save. Alright, so let's jump into the left view. Or the front view, sorry. Alright, blow that up with Alt W. Okay, so we're going to have to get these polygons to go up and over and come back down and attach to this. Okay, so we could just extrude it and try to shape that curve in there. I'm going to try to do it a little quicker. So the first thing I do here is just exit polygon. We'll go back to the create panel, and then I'm going to go into shapes and just choose line. Okay, and I'm just going to go over here and stop at the top of the piece here. Alright, we'll click, and I'm just going to draw a line straight up. Alright, click again, go across, click again, and then go down and just stop at the top of this piece. Alright, we'll click, and then right click to end the spline. Okay, just like that. Okay, and I also want to round the corners over a bit, so let's go into the modify panel to vertex. Alright, we'll just grab the two verts on the spline there. And we want to round them over, so let's go down in the rollout until we see fillet. Alright, I'm just going to click on that, and then I'm going to click and drag up on the mouse on these verts, okay? Just to round over the corners a bit. Alright, it doesn't have to be anything exact, just like that. Okay, that's probably fine. We'll exit fillet. Alright, and we can turn off vertex. Alright, so let's select our bracket piece again and turn on polygon. Alright, so for this what I'm going to use is just the extrude along spline tool. Okay, so let's open that up by hitting the little box. Alright, and if you're not familiar with this, it's pretty cool. It'll base your extrusion on a line or a spline. Okay, so when it extrudes up, it's going to follow that shape. Alright, so the first thing we need to do is just hit pick spline and then pick our line. Click on it. Alright, you can see what it does. And then you have options in here to, you know, add segments to it, taper, twist, all that stuff. Alright, so we're going to leave that stuff at default. I'm just going to take the segments down to maybe 4, should be fine, okay, and we'll hit OK. Alright, you can see it kind of jacked our support edges and the shape's kind of weird, okay, so we're going to have to do a little cleanup. So let's go to vertex. Alright, and I'm just going to grab these guys on the corner here, and we'll just move them out to straighten out the side. Alright, just so it matches a bit better. And same with this guy. Alright, these ones, try to straighten up that a bit. It doesn't have to be perfect. Alright, just grab these two, move them over. Alright, we just want them close to matching up with our edges that we have down at the bottom there. Alright, so we don't have any problems when we weld. Alright, so let's move these guys in a bit. Alright, maybe just like that. Okay, and then the center looks kind of weird, so let's grab all these verts and just pull them up a bit. And I'm going to try to even out the support edges. Alright, so just like that. And then let's go to edge and just grab all these segments here and control click these guys. Alright, we'll just add another couple loops in here, so let's go down to connect, open that up, and we'll just do one segment, no pinch, no slide, and OK. Alright, just so we have 2 new loops here, and I'm going to control click vertex just to convert the selection of verts. And I'm just going to pull these guys up at the same time. Alright, just a bit. And then let's go to scale and just scale on the x-axis, just out a bit. Alright, just to shape it a bit better. Alright, maybe like that, and then let's go back to move and just retweak the center ones. Alright, it doesn't have to be perfect, I just want it to be somewhat even. Okay, so that's probably fine. So let's exit vertex and just take a look in perspective. Alright, just like that. I'm going to turn off my edges here. Alright, you can see we have a bit of a smoothing problem on that piece. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is just, with the bracket selected, I'm just going to put a smooth modifier on. And if you ever see any weird shading problems, sometimes I have it when I move verts. The mesh will go like black and white. If you ever see that or this kind of thing, sometimes you can get rid of it by just adding a smooth modifier. Okay, so let's try that. So go into the modify list, down to smooth, turn one on. Alright, I'm not going to take anything on. I'm just going to leave it like that, and you can see it took care of it. Alright, so it looks normal again. So now we'll just right click and convert it back to editable poly. Okay, and you can see it got rid of it. Alright, so before we actually attach it to the piece down here, I'm just going to select that tab piece and just hide it temporarily. So right click, hide selection. Alright, and we're going to have polygons up on the top here that we have to get rid of. Alright, so we can weld it together. So let's go to polygon, and it should still be selected. If not, just select those 12 and hit delete, get rid of them. Alright, we can exit polygon and just right click and unhide by name, and then unhide our object 01 piece again. Alright, just like that. Okay, so now we can finally attach them together. So let's click on attach, and then just click on this tab piece. Alright, to attach them, turn that off, and then we'll just go to border and just drag through and get both these borders selected. Okay, looks like it should be 28 edges, and then we'll control click vertex. Alright, and we'll just open up weld. Alright, just like that. Alright, looks like they all snapped. Okay, so let's hit OK. Alright, you can see we have 14 now, and that's right. Okay, so it's all one piece. And we probably could remove, a couple of these loops. I might just leave them in anyway. Doesn't really matter. Okay, so that looks like it worked. Let's put the turbo smooth on to see how it comes out when it's smoothed. Alright, so into the modify list again, down to turbo smooth, 2 iterations, isoline display. Alright, and let's turn off our edges, F4, and take a look. Alright, so it's looking pretty good. Alright, it's holding the shape nice, our holes are nice and even. Okay, so that's good. And it seems like a lot of work, just to get such a small detail, but, there's no reason not to put a lot of detail into this thing. Alright, we want it to look good when we're done. Alright, so that's probably good for the bracket, so let's name it. Okay, I'm just going to call it, I guess, heat shield band or something. Alright, doesn't matter as long as you know what it is, and I'm just going to change my color to gray. Alright, let's center the pivot on it as well. So hierarchy tab, effect pivot only, center object, and then turn it off. Okay, and then we can select our little line up there and delete it because we don't need it anymore. So delete. Alright, so let's exit isolation mode and right click and unhide all and just see how this looks like on the actual thing. Alright, I'm just going to select the bracket and hit Z to center the view. Alright, so that doesn't look too bad. Alright, it's not exact to the reference, but it's close, so that's okay. Alright, so with that done, let's save another copy.